I was enjoying a perfect autumn evening with Ashley, my wife of 6 years. The maple trees outside our window painted the sky with vibrant colors as we shared a bottle of wine. Everything seemed perfect until her phone buzzed. She quickly flipped it over, but not before I caught a glimpse of a message from Brian from work. Something in my gut tightened. That night, watching her sleep peacefully beside me, I had no idea how my entire life was about to unravel. If you are watching this video right now, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe to hear how I discovered my wife was cheating and how karma came for both of them with a little help from me. I was 35 years old, a successful software engineer at a growing tech company in Boston. I had worked my way up through dedication and countless late nights coding. My colleagues respected me, my bosses valued my contributions, and I took pride in my career trajectory. But more than anything, I cherished what I had with Ashley. We met 6 years ago at a small coffee shop downtown. I was working on a project when she asked if she could share my table, since the place was packed. Her smile captivated me instantly. Ashley was confident, intelligent, and had a laugh that could light up the darkest room. After 2 years of dating, I proposed on a beach at sunset, and we were married 3 months later in a small ceremony with close friends and family. Ashley worked as a marketing specialist at Next Gen Solutions, a marketing firm that handled several high-profile clients. She was passionate about her work and often talked about climbing the corporate ladder. We bought a beautiful suburban home just outside Boston, with a yard big enough for the children we planned to have soon. Our life together seemed perfect, at least from the outside. The first sign something was wrong came about 7 months ago. Ashley started coming home later than usual. At first it was just an hour or two, but soon she would walk through the door close to midnight. When I asked about it, she always had the same answer. Emergency meeting with clients, she would say, kicking off her heels. You know how it is when a campaign deadline is approaching. I did understand demanding work schedules, so I tried to be supportive. But other things started changing too. She would take calls in another room, speaking in hushed tones. Her phone was always face down now, and she changed her password. Then there was the unfamiliar cologne I occasionally caught on her clothes, distinctly different from anything I wore. One night, while doing laundry, I found a receipt in her jacket pocket for a restaurant I had never heard of. The bill was for 2 people and included 2 expensive bottles of wine. When I mentioned it casually, she claimed it was a business lunch with a client. But the timestamp showed 8:30 p.m. The text messages started becoming more frequent, always from Brian from work. I noticed how her face lit up when his name appeared on her screen. A smile I once thought was reserved only for me. Still trying to salvage what we had, I planned a romantic date night. I made reservations at our favorite restaurant, the place where we had celebrated our first anniversary. Throughout dinner, Ashley seemed distant, checking her phone repeatedly under the table. Is everything okay at work? I asked, trying to keep the suspicion out of my voice. Just some campaign issues, she replied, sliding her phone back into her purse. Brian might need my input on the presentation tomorrow. When I brought up our plans to start trying for a baby, something we had been discussing for months, her response was lukewarm at best. I think we should wait a bit longer, she said, avoiding eye contact. The timing at work is not great with this new client on board. The final straw came when I woke up at 2:00 a.m. to find her side of the bed empty. I found her in the kitchen talking on the phone, giggling softly like a teenager. When she saw me, she quickly ended the call. Just catching up with Lisa, she said, referring to her college friend. But at 2:00 a.m. And since when did conversations with Lisa make her giggle like that? I knew something was wrong. Deeply wrong. But I needed proof before confronting her. The thought that my wife might be cheating was like a knife twisting in my gut, but I had to know the truth, no matter how painful it might be. That night I lay awake for hours, watching the ceiling fan spin above our bed, wondering how our seemingly perfect life had come to this. I felt the first tendrils of betrayal wrapping around my heart, squeezing tighter with each passing day. But I still held on to a sliver of hope that maybe, just maybe, I was wrong. The next morning, after Ashley left for work, I did something I never thought I would do. I checked her phone. She had forgotten it on the bathroom counter in her rush to leave, and for once it was unlocked. My hands trembled as I scrolled through her messages. What I found confirmed my worst fears. Dozens of messages between her and Brian, her marketing director. Not professional exchanges about work projects, but intimate messages filled with inside jokes, heart emojis, and plans to meet. There were references to hotel rooms, to moments I thought she had been working late. One message from Brian read, "Last night was amazing. Cannot wait to have you all to myself again." My stomach lurched. I quickly took photos of the conversations with my own phone before putting hers back exactly as I found it. But I needed more evidence before confronting her. Something irrefutable. I reached out to Theodore Walker, a private investigator who had helped my friend Mike when he suspected his business partner was embezzling. Theodore was discreet, thorough, and came highly recommended. We met at a diner far from my neighborhood, where I explained my suspicions. "I need to know everything," I told him. "No matter how painful." Theodore nodded solemnly. "I will document everything I find, but are you sure you want all the details?" "Sometimes knowing less is easier." "I need the truth," I insisted. "All of it." For the next 2 weeks, Theodore followed Ashley after work. Each day my phone would ping with updates that cut deeper than the last. Photos of Ashley and Brian entering a boutique hotel downtown. Footage of them kissing in his car. A recording of them laughing over dinner at an expensive restaurant, her hand intimately placed on his. The final report was devastating. Brian Thompson was not just her boss, but a married man with 2 young children at home. The affair had been going on for 7 months, starting shortly after he joined the company. They met 3 times a week, sometimes during lunch, other times after work at various hotels. The evidence suggested this was not a casual fling, but a calculated, ongoing relationship. As I sat in my home office reviewing the evidence, memories flooded back with new context. All those emergency meetings, client dinners, and weekend workshops suddenly made sense. Each excuse she had given me was a carefully constructed lie. The betrayal cut even deeper when Theodore's financial investigation revealed Ashley had been using our joint account to buy gifts for Brian. An expensive watch, designer ties, even weekend getaways disguised as professional conferences. Then came the most painful discovery of all. Theodore had managed to record a conversation between them at a restaurant where they discussed their future plans. Ashley was complaining about me, about our marriage. "Joey is so clueless," her voice came through the recording. "He actually thinks we are going to start trying for a baby soon." Brian's response was even more chilling. "Once I get the director position next month, I will bring you in as my deputy. After that, we can figure out our next steps together." They were not just having an affair. They were planning a future together, one that involved leaving me behind once their career advancement was secured. My friends urged me to confront Ashley immediately. "Just throw the evidence in her face and kick her out," my best friend Tony advised. But something in me wanted more than just a confrontation. The calculated nature of their betrayal, the way they had mapped out a future at my expense, awakened something cold and determined in me. I decided to plan my response as carefully as they had planned their affair. This would not just be about ending my marriage, but about ensuring they faced consequences for every lie they had told, every moment they had stolen from me. For days, I wrestled with rage and grief. There were moments I almost broke down and confronted Ashley, especially when she would kiss me goodbye in the morning knowing she would be meeting him hours later. But I channeled my pain into planning, into ensuring that when karma finally came for them, it would be thorough and complete. I knew I needed professional advice before making any moves. Marcus Henderson was one of the top divorce attorneys in Boston, known for handling high-profile cases with discretion and razor-sharp legal strategy. His office was in a gleaming downtown skyscraper, a testament to his success. Document everything, Marcus advised during our first meeting. Every suspicious expense, every unexplained absence, every lie you catch her in. Massachusetts is a no-fault divorce state, but evidence of adultery can still impact property division and alimony. I handed him a USB drive containing all the evidence Theodore had collected. "Is this enough?" Marcus reviewed the files, his expression growing grimmer with each image and recording. "More than enough. She has been using joint funds to finance this affair, which will not look good in court." Following his advice, I began meticulously tracking our finances. I discovered Ashley had spent over $15,000 from our joint account on expenses related to the affair. Hotel rooms, gifts for Brian, expensive dinners. I discreetly moved half of our savings into a separate account. Marcus helped me set up, ensuring Ashley could not drain our resources when confronted. All the while, I maintained a facade of normalcy at home. Each fake smile, each conversation about our future plans was like swallowing broken glass. But I knew the temporary pain would be worth it. Through Theodore's continued surveillance, I learned more about Brian Thompson. He was being groomed for promotion to marketing director, a position that would be announced at the company's quarterly board meeting in 3 weeks. The current director was retiring, and Brian was the frontrunner for the role. Once in that position, he had promised to create a new deputy director role, specifically for Ashley. I also discovered Brian had a close relationship with the company's CEO, James Wilson. They played golf together on weekends and had known each other since college. This connection had fast-tracked Brian's career at NextGen Solutions. Through a former colleague who now worked at NextGen, I learned about the company's strict policy regarding workplace relationships. Romantic relationships between managers and direct reports were explicitly prohibited due to conflicts of interest. Violations could result in immediate termination, especially if the relationship was not disclosed to HR. Then came a stroke of luck that felt like the universe was finally aligning in my favor. At a neighborhood barbecue, I was introduced to a woman named Sandra. During our conversation, I learned she was a corporate attorney, specializing in employment law. Only when she mentioned her husband worked in marketing did I make the connection. Sandra Thompson was Brian's wife. Sandra was accomplished, intelligent, and clearly had no idea her husband was having an affair with my wife. We exchanged business cards, and I felt the final piece of my plan falling into place. I decided to time my confrontation perfectly. The company's board meeting where Brian's promotion would be announced was scheduled for a Monday. I would confront Ashley the Friday before giving me the weekend to set the rest of my plan in motion. The days leading up to that Friday were the hardest. Each moment with Ashley felt like a performance, a charade I had to maintain while screaming inside. She noticed my distance, but attributed it to work stress. In reality, I was preparing to dismantle the life we had built together and to ensure that both she and Brian would face the full consequences of their actions. I was no longer interested in just ending my marriage. I wanted to make sure that the future they had so carefully planned together would crumble before it could begin. The promotion, the deputy directorship, the life they thought they would build on the ruins of my trust. None of it would come to pass. The night before my planned confrontation, I lay awake, watching Ashley sleep peacefully beside me. In the dim light of our bedroom, I tried to reconcile this woman with the person I had fallen in love with years ago. Had she always been capable of such betrayal, or had something changed along the way? It did not matter anymore. By this time tomorrow, our marriage would be over, and the carefully constructed house of cards she had built with Brian would be collapsing around them. Friday arrived with a sense of grim finality. I had taken the day off work, telling my boss I needed a long weekend to deal with some personal matters. Ashley left for work as usual, completely unaware that this would be the last normal day of her life as she knew it. I spent the day preparing. I bought her favorite wine, an expensive Cabernet Sauvignon we usually reserved for special occasions. I ordered takeout from her favorite Italian restaurant. I even put fresh flowers on the dining table, creating a setting so normal that the confrontation to come would feel even more jarring. When Ashley walked through the door at 6:30 p.m., her initial surprise at seeing the romantic setup quickly gave way to discomfort. She knew she was supposed to meet Brian later, and my unexpected gesture was interfering with those plans. "What is all this for?" she asked, setting down her purse. "I thought we could use a special night," I replied, pouring her a glass of wine. It has been a while since we had quality time together. As we ate dinner, I asked her about work, about the projects she was handling, giving her opportunity after opportunity to come clean. Each lie she told added fuel to the cold anger burning inside me. After dinner, as we moved to the living room with our wine glasses, I finally placed the USB drive on the coffee table between us. "What is that?" she asked, a hint of nervousness in her voice. 7 months of lies," I answered calmly. "Every hotel visit with Brian, every dinner, every gift you bought him with our money, every plan you made for your future together." The color drained from her face. She reached for the USB, but I got to it first. "Do you want to see what is on here?" I asked, connecting it to our television. "Or should I just tell you what I know, Joey?" "I can explain," she began, but her voice faltered as images appeared on the screen. Her and Brian entering the Harborview Hotel, them kissing in his car, restaurant receipts from our joint account. "Explain." "What, Ashley?" "How you have been sleeping with your boss for 7 months. How you have been using our money to buy him gifts. Or how you have been laughing about me behind my back, calling me clueless while you plan your exit strategy." Her denial crumbled, replaced by desperate pleading. "It just happened, Joey. I never meant to hurt you. Brian and we connected in a way that I thought was missing between us. I was going to tell you after." "After what?" "After he got his promotion. After he created that deputy director position for you. After you had completely secured your future at my expense." Ashley's eyes widened in shock. "How do you know about the promotion?" "I know everything, Ashley. Every detail of your sordid little affair. And by Monday, everyone else will know too." The reality of what I was saying hit her. "What do you mean everyone will know, Joey?" "Please, we can work through this. I will end it with Brian. I will go to therapy. Please do not ruin my career over a mistake." "A mistake?" I laughed bitterly. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is accidentally saying something hurtful. What you did was a calculated betrayal that lasted for months. You and Brian made your choices. Now you get to live with the consequences." I showed her the business card of Marcus Henderson. "I have already spoken with a divorce attorney. He will be contacting you next week. Until then, I suggest you find somewhere else to stay." Ashley's pleading turned to anger. "You cannot just throw me out. This is my house too. Actually, according to Marcus, given the circumstances and the way you have misused our joint funds, I can petition for exclusive use of the home during divorce proceedings. The papers have already been filed. You have until tomorrow morning to pack your essentials. The rest can be arranged through our attorneys." As reality sank in, Ashley's anger gave way to panic. "Joey, please. Where am I supposed to go? What about my job? You cannot tell people at work about this." "I am not telling everyone," I said coolly. "Just the people who need to know, like Sandra Thompson, Brian's wife, and James Wilson, your company's CEO." The mention of Sandra's name made Ashley physically recoil. "You would not dare. I already have her number. Nice woman. Successful attorney. Mother of Brian's 2 children. She deserves to know what kind of man she is married to. Do not you think?" That night, Ashley slept in our guest room, her sobs occasionally echoing through the house. I felt no satisfaction in her pain, only a grim determination to see my plan through to the end. The next morning, as Ashley reluctantly packed a suitcase, I sent an email to Sandra Thompson, attaching selected evidence of the affair and suggesting we meet to discuss the situation. Within an hour, she called me, her voice shaking with anger and pain. "I had suspicions," she admitted, "but nothing concrete until now. Thank you for having the decency to tell me." By Saturday evening, Sandra had confronted Brian, who immediately tried to contact Ashley. I could hear Ashley's phone buzzing constantly from the guest room, but she did not answer. She knew the house of cards was collapsing. On Sunday night, I sent an email to James Wilson, NextGen's CEO. The subject line was simple: "Violation of company policy by Brian Thompson." I attached evidence of the affair, highlighted the company's policy on manager-subordinate relationships, and noted that neither party had disclosed the relationship to HR as required. "As the husband of one of your employees, I felt obligated to bring this ethical breach to your attention before Mr. Thompson's promotion is finalized," I wrote. "I believe the board would want this information before making such an important decision." Monday morning, Ashley left early, likely trying to do damage control at the office. By noon, I received a call from Theodore, who had a contact at NextGen. "All hell has broken loose," he reported. The board meeting was canceled. Brian and Ashley were called into a meeting with HR and the CEO. Both have been placed on administrative leave, pending an investigation. The rest of the day, my phone was flooded with angry messages from Ashley, accusing me of deliberately destroying her career. Brian also called threatening legal action for interference in his professional life. I blocked both their numbers. By the end of the week, the full consequences of my actions had become clear. Brian's promotion had been revoked. An internal investigation had been launched into their relationship and potential misuse of company resources. Sandra had filed for divorce and was seeking full custody of their children. Ashley had been forced to move into an expensive studio apartment downtown, the only place she could find on short notice. Her reputation at NextGen was in tatters with colleagues she once considered friends, now avoiding her. I did not feel the joy or satisfaction I had expected. Instead, there was a hollow sense of justice served. They had constructed an elaborate fantasy future at my expense. Now that future was gone, replaced by the harsh reality of their choices. The following months unfolded like the aftermath of a hurricane, revealing the full extent of the destruction caused by Ashley's betrayal and my response to it. The divorce proceedings moved forward efficiently thanks to Marcus's expertise and the overwhelming evidence of Ashley's infidelity and financial misconduct. The judge ruled in my favor, on most counts including the division of assets. Ashley was left with significantly less than she would have received in a standard divorce settlement, a legal consequence of her actions that added financial strain to her already precarious situation. Meanwhile, Brian's professional life continued its downward spiral. The internal investigation at NextGen confirmed multiple violations of company policy, including using corporate resources to facilitate the affair and attempting to create a position specifically for Ashley that bypassed normal hiring protocols. He was terminated with cause, a black mark that made finding comparable employment extremely difficult. Sandra's divorce proceedings were equally efficient. As a skilled attorney herself, she ensured Brian faced maximum financial repercussions. He lost his family home and was granted only supervised visitation with his children initially, after Sandra presented evidence of his character that raised questions about his judgment and trustworthiness as a parent. Through mutual acquaintances, I heard that Brian had been forced to move to a smaller city and accept a position several levels below his previous role with a corresponding cut in salary. The substantial alimony and child support payments to Sandra left him struggling financially. Ashley's professional situation was similarly dire. After being terminated from NextGen, she discovered that word had spread throughout Boston's close-knit marketing community. Interviews would go well until references were checked, at which point opportunities mysteriously disappeared. Eventually, she was forced to take a retail position that paid barely enough to cover her rent. My own healing process was slow and painful. Friends and family rallied around me, offering support and understanding. My parents, who had always loved Ashley, were particularly devastated by her betrayal but steadfast in their support of me. Work became a sanctuary where I could focus on challenges that had clear solutions, unlike the mess of emotions I was navigating in my personal life. My boss and colleagues were understanding, and their support helped me maintain my professional performance despite the turmoil. I joined a support group for people going through divorce where I met others who had experienced similar betrayals. Their stories helped me realize I was not alone, and their progress gave me hope that the raw pain would eventually subside. Gradually, I began reclaiming parts of myself that had been subsumed in my marriage. I returned to hiking, a passion I had largely abandoned because Ashley had never enjoyed outdoor activities. I picked up my guitar again, spending evenings relearning songs I had once played effortlessly. A friendship developed with Rachel, a software developer who had recently joined my team at work. Unlike some friends who awkwardly avoided mentioning Ashley or relationships altogether, Rachel listened without judgment when I needed to talk and offered insightful perspectives that helped me process my experience. Through these conversations with Rachel and my support group, I began to recognize warning signs I had missed or dismissed: the gradual withdrawal of emotional intimacy, the increasing secrecy around normal activities, the deflection whenever I raised concerns. These realizations did not excuse Ashley's choices, but they helped me understand how I had been blind to the deterioration of our marriage. I also had to forgive myself for the role I played in our relationship's breakdown, not by causing Ashley's infidelity, but by perhaps not being as attentive or present as I could have been. This was not about taking blame for her choices, but about honest self-reflection that would help me build healthier relationships in the future. 1 year after the confrontation, I sold our house and bought a modern apartment closer to downtown Boston. The process of selecting furniture, arranging my space exactly as I wanted it, felt like a physical manifestation of rebuilding my life on my own terms. Then came a moment I had both dreaded and anticipated. While shopping at a grocery store, I turned a corner and came face to face with Ashley. She looked tired, older than her years. The confident glow that had once defined her was gone. "Joey," she said, clearly surprised. "How are you?" "I am doing well," I answered honestly. "And you?" She gave a sad smile. "Surviving. Not much more than that. I lost everything, you know. The job, friends, my reputation." She paused. "I deserve it all, of course. What I did to you, was unforgivable." I had imagined this moment many times, thought I would feel vindication or satisfaction. Instead, I felt an unexpected pang of compassion. Not for the woman who had betrayed me, but for a human being facing the natural consequences of her choices. "I am sorry things turned out this way," I said, and meant it. Not that I regretted my actions, but that we had arrived at this point at all. "Me too," she replied. "For what it is worth, I truly am sorry. Not just for getting caught, but for hurting you, for throwing away what we had." As we parted ways, I reflected on the journey of the past year. I had not just survived betrayal. I had ensured justice was served. Yet the most valuable outcome was not the karma that befell Ashley and Brian, but the strength and self-knowledge I had gained. Life rarely gives us perfect closure or complete justice, but sometimes when we stand up for ourselves and refuse to be victims, we can shape our own resolution. Karma may work in its own time, but occasionally it needs a little push in the right direction. I now look toward the future with cautious optimism, carrying lessons that came at great cost, but will serve me for a lifetime. Trust is precious and must be earned. Self-respect requires boundaries with consequences. And while forgiveness may eventually come, it never requires forgetting or allowing further harm. What would you have done in my situation? Was I right to expose their affair to their workplace, or should I have kept it private between us? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences that might help you navigate your own challenges. And if you know someone who might benefit from hearing this story, share it with them. Thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes the best revenge is not just moving on, but ensuring that justice is served along the way.